Okay, so in this session, I'm going to be the therapist. Heather is going to be client, and we're going to be working on improving communication skills. So, how have things been since I last saw you?
Uh, it's been a little bit difficult. We've tried some communication things me and Josie have, and it's just not working out right now.
What kind of things have you been trying?
I try to tell her my needs and what I need from a situation and what I need from her, and try and let her tell me what she needs from me, and it's just not really all that reciprocated. I put it out there and I say what I need, and I'm just not getting anything back from her. She doesn't really respond to what I say, and she doesn't really want to put hers out there.
So, um, specifically, can you walk me through like a situation like that so I can help see what's happening here?
Like, okay, one night we were gonna have some friends over, and so in order to have them over, we needed to clean up a little bit, and we needed to get the stuff ready to have people over. And um, I told her that for that event, I needed her to just help pitch in a little bit. I needed her to pick something, anything, because I know that she doesn't like to do all the stuff. So either she can help do some of the cleaning, or she can go pick up some of the stuff from the store. Um, but when I said that, she just kind of blew me off and went and did her own thing for the whole day and didn't help at all.
What do you mean by blew you off? What does that mean?
Um, like when I told her that I needed those things from her for the day, she was just kind of like, well, I already have plans, knowing that we already had this whole thing set up for like weeks in advance for our friends to come over, for just a little fun gathering. It wasn't like it was anything so difficult. There was people that she enjoyed. We enjoyed all getting together, maybe playing some board games or whatever. But she just, said whatever and kind of went off, and hell if I know what she was doing. I have no idea.
Have you been trying those I statements, those I feel statements we talked about last session?
I don't really know if she gave me the chance. I wanted to try those things, and I feel like if she would have stayed around for a while and we could have talked about it for a minute, whether there was something wrong with the situation or something happened, if she would have just stayed and talked, that would have been fine. But she just left. It was like, okay, she's not interested, and she walks out the door. Like, there was no time for discussion. It was just walk out the door. And um, by the time she got back, friends were already there and gathered, and it wasn't really a good time to have that discussion.
So, what do you see as um, one of the biggest prohibitors here? What's holding your guys' communication back right now?
I mean, I don't want to say that it's just her, because clearly there's it's a communication between us. It's She communicates fine with her friends, our friends. It's just between us that there's a problem. Um, so I don't know if I'm going about it the wrong way. If she feels that I'm placing my needs at the top of hers, I'm not quite sure what the main part of the situation is here.
It's good you acknowledge that there's two sides to it. I mean, that's a good step. Um, let's work with that a little bit. Let's try to say how if you painted a picture of how the conversation would unfold in a way that would meet not only your needs but also her needs. It sounds like you're talking about some issues. She needs space. It sounds like when she gets upset. So how can we accommodate both of these? If we now all things aside, this can be like a long term thing,
Mm-hmm.
end goal thing we're working for. What do you think both parties here are desiring?
I mean, I guess based off of that situation, really, I just want to know what her needs are. Like I put mine out there, and she didn't really tell me what her needs were, and um, be able to just sit down and talk things out. Like, okay, if our needs clash or something, if we can just sit down and say, okay, this is what you want, this is what I want, where can we meet in the middle? Like, I want to be able to work through the situations and be able to have some kind of way to work through the conflict instead of just letting it sit there and boil, because it just gets worse.
So what I'm hearing is you want to be able to set goals together and have clearer communication when things are getting hostile. Is that what you're talking about?
I'd like clear communication in general, just before it gets hostile, because that might keep it from having those tense situations as often as we are. Um, but definitely being able to kind of set our goals together, and so that we know where each other stands, and when it does get to those situations, be able to work through them.
Okay. So we're really focusing on goals here then. You really want to be on the same page. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That's a good long-term goal. That's something we can work towards together. Um, One thing I would like to try to do in between that is practicing how to get there, breaking the step down, breaking the goals down into much more manageable pieces, so that it's something you can practice day to day and get better at it as you go on. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I think that would make it a little bit easier to try and figure out how to get there.
So when we talk about communication, we talk about the goal setting. What do you think are important elements to you personally in setting those goals?
Um, I mean, for me personally, I know sometimes it's hard for me to kind of figure out what I actually do need from the situation, because I still want to focus more on the other person. So I guess being able to figure out what exactly I want and need, in general, and to be able to figure it out in specific situations.
It's good. Now, earlier you have mentioned you're very goal oriented. You also mentioned that you're kind of a visual learner. Have you tried creating sort of like a mapping system or writing it down before the conversation? So, like, before you have this conversation with goals, you go into it prepared, like, okay, I want to have this party, and I want to be able to, like, communicate this and make sure that we're all on the same page here. Have you ever tried before writing some of these goals down that would make it easier for you to communicate that with Josie?
I haven't tried that, but I'd be willing to do that. Yeah, I think that might be able to work.
I think that might be a good one. What now? What about from Josie's perspective? When you're hearing her talk to you, what is it she's saying to you when she does talk? Before she walks away, are there anything that she's saying that she needs of you?
I mean, she doesn't get really verbal. She usually, I mean, it's one of those things where she wants the space, so she just walks away. But when she does talk to me, it's usually just that um, that either that wasn't something that she wanted to do, which when we originally brought it up, it's not just my friends, it's our friends and things like that. So it's not like it was something crazy out of the realm or anything that I was trying to get her to do something. So I'm not quite sure what the deal is.
Have you ever tried asking?
I've thought about it. I've never really done it because I never felt like I had the chance to. The whole walking away thing. But maybe if we took it from the perspective of, writing things down and looking at it way earlier, then I might have the opportunity to do that.
Well, you're absolutely right. Like, if she's to the point where she's walking away, you're not really gonna have a good, healthy conversation right then. But before that, if you prepared, came into it, instead of, like, perhaps you have your list of things you want and you're thinking about how to go, but perhaps before you present that list to her, maybe she feels overwhelmed by it, maybe she has different things going, I'm not sure. But maybe if you ask her first, what is it you need from me? And then really work on active listening and try not to talk so much. Try just to listen and see how she responds. What do you think about that?
I could do that.
All right, that's good. That's it.